The things that you get in life, Frederick Douglass said, we might not get everything that we fight for, but everything we get, it will be a fight. And I love the quote that life is a fight for territory. And once you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want will automatically take over. Like getting ready to come here to see you. I want to just, first of all, thank you for the great work that you're doing. I watch you and I study you, and you have had some incredible guests that impacted my life. And preparing to come here, I'm being treated by Cancer Centers of America for fourth stage cancer, which I've been kicking cancer's butt for 27 years. And I've been working on getting a six-pack before getting here. I still got one pack. And I've been working to get some muscles so I can wear my t-shirt, but they weren't large enough, so I wore a long sleeve.
That's amazing, man. Talk to me about cancer. You've had such an upbeat attitude about it. It's really pretty extraordinary. Was that your initial reaction? Did you go through a trough of despair when you first got diagnosed? Like, how have you framed that?
Dr. Alfred Golson, who has since passed, was a very unusual guy. And he told me, he said, Mr. Brown, you have cancer. I said, can you give me a second opinion? He said, yes, and you're ugly too. I said, oh my God. So I didn't have a chance to have fear because those three words, you have cancer, three of the most feared words in 7 different languages. I saw it as a fight. And from that time to this time, my PSA was 2,400. That stands for prostate-specific antigen, and now it's below 0 and metastasized to 7 areas of my body, which was a good thing because 7 is my lucky number. Okay, so I never was fearful that I was going to die from it, and I think that I read something by Dr. Norman Cousins. He wrote a book called The Biology of Hope, and he talked about the fact that when something happens to you, you don't deny it, you defy it. And I was defiant that I'm going to beat this, I'm going to handle this. That there are people who many times when something happens to them, that they embrace it from a place of fear and it takes them out. And Elsie Robinson said, things may happen to you and things may happen around you, but the most important things are the things that happen in you. And you have to stand up inside yourself and deal with it and handle it. So fortunately, that never bothered me, but I had sciatica pain. That had me speaking in unknown tongues. And I was in a wheelchair for several months, speaking from a wheelchair. And it was something that I dealt with that frightened me. Will this ever end? It was 24 hours. I lost a lot of sleep. It was exhausting, going from all type of specialists in and out of the country. And just one day, it stopped. And I'm glad that I'm past that. I feel like when you go through some stuff, there's some certain things that you don't want ever to see again, and that's what I don't want to ever see again. But fear has not been the biggest challenge that I've faced with the things that I've been dealing with in terms of my health.
Because we had to write an assignment, what you want to be when you grow up.
Okay.
The first day of school.
Right.
6th grade. And I write, I want to be on TV. She called everybody's name, had them stand up, then she made me come to the front. I go to the front, I think I'm finna get a gold star. I got the best answer in here.
Right.
Because I knew all my answers was better. Because Lonnie Cage had wrote on his paper, he wanted to be a doctor. His ass couldn't even read in the reading group. So I don't know how Lonnie gonna be no damn doctor. This has got to be. So at least I wrote something that had a chance of happening. Lonnie ass got about a bigger chance of being a doctor as I got to walking my ass to the moon by Friday. So when she called me up there, man, and she said, why did you write this on your paper? And I said, because that was our assignment for today.
Right.
And then I had a little stuttering problem, so I was stuttering a little bit. She said, who do you know on TV in this neighborhood? And so I started, by the tone of her voice, I could tell that this wasn't going the way this wasn't for your bold gold star moment.
Yeah.
This heifer trying to break me in front of these kids.
Right.
And she was doing a damn good job of
Right.
it too. She was crushing me.
Okay.
Who in this neighborhood have been on TV? Who in your family ever been on TV? Who in this school been on TV? And what make you think you can be on TV? And look at you standing there, you can't even talk. Then you write something more reasonable on your paper. She crushed me, man. I said, damn, this is a teacher.
Right.
You know, this is in the 68, man.
Right.
I'm sitting there looking at this lady like, God, dog. But I kept my paper and took it home.
Right.
And my mama said, your daddy gonna beat you when you get home for being a smart aleck. Because she'd call home and said, your child is a smart aleck.
Right.
Because I wanted to be on TV. Everybody else, basketball player, football player.
Right.
I don't like tackle.
Right.
I ain't like it. You know, you throw me on the ground, I want to fight. You know, I ain't good at this.
Right.
So when my father came home, she said, Slick, this boy been a smart aleck up at the school. And he said, well, what'd you do? I said, I wrote on the paper I want to be on TV. My father said, well, what's wrong with that? And I saw a little glimmer of hope because I wasn't going to get this ass whooping I thought I was going to get. He said, well, this boy can be whatever he want to be. And it was like, I thought I was finna get executed, you know. Because when my daddy came home, it was time for that. He was the executioner.
Right.
My mama was a judge. She handed down the sentence. My daddy was the executioner at the house. So I'm finna get executed. And being when he said that, the red phone rang from the governor's office.
You got a reprieve.
That was a reprieve. And he said, you don't worry about that. You keep that paper and you read your paper every morning, every night. And I did that. I kept that paper till I was about 27 years old. And then I got in comedy at 27. I didn't get on TV till I was 38 years old.
I want to talk to you today about a receiving mindset. God has great things in store for all of us, but too often we don't think we deserve it. We've made too many mistakes. We don't see how it could happen. Instead of receiving the mercy, receiving the approval, receiving the abundance, we come up with excuses. I can't get well. You saw the report. I can't be blessed. I've had a rough past. I'll never have abundance. I don't have the training. We don't realize we're self-sabotaging our future. We want to be blessed. We're praying for favor. But because of how we feel about ourselves, we're pushing away the very things that we want. And Paul said in Romans, the gift of righteousness is for all who will receive it. God has gifts for you. He has mercy, wisdom, favor. You don't earn it. You don't work for it. It's not based on your education, your background. It's a gift. But these gifts won't do you any good if you don't receive them. The enemy will work overtime to try to keep you condemned, feeling unworthy, not good enough, smart enough, attractive enough. Instead of believing those lies, try a different approach. Have a receiving mindset. God, I've made a lot of mistakes, but I receive your forgiveness. My dream looks impossible, but I receive your favor. Been fighting this sickness a long time, but I receive your healing. Quit rejecting the good things God has for you and learn to receive the gift. You don't have to force it. You don't have to talk God into it, perform good enough. Just be a receiver. God, you promised whom the Son sets free is free indeed. So Lord, I receive your freedom right now. Lord, you said my latter days would be better than my former days, so I receive a bright future. Now thoughts will whisper, not for you. You've had too many bad breaks. You always struggle. No one in your family is successful. You have a choice. You can let the gift sit there and say, yeah, you're probably right. I want to be blessed, but it's never going to happen. That's self-sabotaging. Do yourself a favor and take the gift. Lord, I receive your abundance. I receive your favor. I receive your blessing on my life. When our children were small.
Exactly right. That's exactly it. And the whole thing is you got to turn your mind off.
Yes.
You know, they come up with stuff like melatonin or something like that, and then they got a little thing called LDN and all this here. But really, man, when you hustling and grinding, that's a cost for everything.
Correct.
You know, you don't get to where we are, people like this. You don't get here free.
Right.
This come with a cost. Right. And it's gonna cost you a lot of free time. It's gonna cost you a lot of your time. And that's just it. You know, people, they got mad at me one time because I did drop the video where I was talking about if you want to get rich, you can't sleep 8 hours. Right. And then here come all the haters online talking about Steve Harvey prefers wealth over health. No, I don't. I would give anything to be fully healthy.
Right.
But at the same time, if you're trying to get it and talking about to really have it, you got to lock and load, man.
Right.
You ain't if you sleep 8 hours, you sleep a third of your life. One third of your life is spent sleep. Now you tell me how you gonna get successful in the United States of America and you sleep a third of your life. Help me understand. My focus was in what I was trying to make happen. And I was losing sight of what had already happened.
Right.
And if you want more, you gotta be grateful for what you have. But I was so busy wanting the more,
Right.
I forgot to focus and take a look at what he'd already done.
Right.
I came home, man, I went home, sat around my house for a while, went down to my ranch, did some fishing. I looked at all that space and stuff, and all of a sudden I realized, I said, man, I'm really good.
Right.
I forgot, okay, God, I see what you were saying.
Right.
Yeah, he'll give you some more. But
Be
would you
appreciative
mind,
of what you have.
would you just please be a little bit appreciative of what I know?
Right.
I was praying for God to do something awesome. Let me help people all over the world. Then when the opportunity comes, we're tempted to push it away. Now, don't self-sabotage the greatness God has for your life. Don't let fear, unworthiness, doubt keep you from stepping into levels you've never dreamed. Peter didn't feel qualified. He felt unworthy. He had weaknesses. He was inconsistent, yet God said, you're going to become a rock. I'm going to build my church on you. God wouldn't have given you the gift if you couldn't handle it. You may not feel qualified, but He's going to train you. You're not a finished product. He's making you, molding you, bringing out talent that you didn't know you had. Now you have to do your part and receive the approval, receive the confidence, receive the faith.
There are things that when you, in my situation, when you live in a dominant culture that is designed to destroy your sense of self and your belief in yourself, and you have to learn ways in which you can begin to connect with this power that you have within yourself to handle where you are. The key is to be constantly in a perpetual process of discovering the truth of who you are and fighting constantly to look for ways in which you can escape the inner conversation. I speak to audiences around the world, and I train speakers as well, and I tell them that when you speak, that there's an objective that you want to achieve when you speak to an audience, because how people live their lives is a result of the story they believe about themselves. So you as a speaker, when you speak in this program, when people see you, what you do is distract, dispute, and inspire. You distract people from their current story with your guests and the questions that you ask. Through the process of the ongoing questioning and the way in which they respond and the things they have learned, you dismantle their current belief system and inspire them to create a new chapter with their lives. And so, but that's an ongoing process of constantly interrupting that conversation, what psychologists call your self-explanatory style, because life is going to beat up on you in so many ways, and many things, they come back, negative thoughts and how you feel about yourself, they don't die. They come back once you stop doing the maintenance work on your mind, listening to motivational messages, going to seminars and workshops, spending time quietly listening to the still small voice within. Who am I really? Is this really me? Am I giving my best? Am I just reflecting what's around me? Because all of these various things affect how we show up in life. And so having a strategy to continuously find ourselves reaching higher. Robert Schuller had a book, is not very popular, but I loved it. It's called Peak to Peak, U-P-E-A-K to P-E-E-K, because you're constantly reaching higher to find out and discover your better self.
What's interesting is for years, he could never receive a compliment. He always had some reason to downplay it. It's like he had trained himself to not feel good about who he was, to push away any kind of thoughts that would build him up. He would speak in front of people. I would call him and say, man, that was great today. That was so strong. Yeah, but I got distracted. And I should have said this, and I left this part out. He didn't realize he was self-sabotaging. He was letting this inner recording keep playing. You're not worthy. You're not good enough. You don't deserve to be happy. You have to turn that recording off and start receiving the approval, receiving the honor, receiving the blessing. You can't love others the way you should without loving yourself. You're supposed to feel good about who you are. You compliment others. Why don't you receive the compliments? It's not honoring to God to go around down on yourself, feeling unworthy, like you don't measure up. The scripture says God has crowned you with His favor. You want to honor God? Put your crown on. Put your shoulders back. Hold your head up high and receive